Join Community Health Net CEO and all around health.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at it still like, okay.
Good morning, everybody. It's Seabrook at WLTH. I'm so excited because I have two clients on deck this morning. It's Dr. Seabrook's monthly show, Your Health Matters, and her special guest is Jaunesia Davis. We are the village. So you are all going to get a chance to meet her again, and she's going to talk more about her mission to help children with developmental disabilities, particularly with autism. So tune in. They'll be on the air shortly. Here they are. Hope everybody's doing great.
It's like a fix. If you ain't there, you can't fix things, James. Did you hear me? I said, you like a fix. If you can't fix things. If you ain't here, we can't fix things.
All right. Parents and students will receive proper training on how to use the devices. Teachers have been trained on the Google Classroom.
Good morning, Mr. Warren.
So that they can deliver an engaging virtual experience while providing your students with a first-rate education.
You ready?
Enroll your child in the Gary schools today.
Going back to the
Call 219-881-5466 or visit GarySchools.org.
I'm trying to get this one to come.
Gary Schools. We're strong, we're built, and built for education. Have questions about your health? Well, the doctor is in. Join Community Health Net CEO and all around health expert, Dr. Seabrook.
All right. So just to let you know, the doctor is here, and we are about to embark on a journey as we talk about how your health matters. We are talking with Dr. Seabrook. Community Health, Your Health Matters, just to let everyone know that today. And we're welcoming her back to the studios. And want to remind our listeners that the views expressed by the hosts and callers of this show are not necessarily views of WLTH radio manager, owner, and sponsors. Caught me with the glasses on. Dr. Seabrook, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Natalie. Good
Thank you so much for coming out. I've been missing you.
I've been missing you too. It's just, nice. It feels good to be able, to get out. We're doing our social distance. We had our mask on earlier, but now that we're on air, it's difficult to sometimes understand what someone is saying with the mask on. So we're socially distancing, and I'm just happy to be here. And we have a guest on today's show, and I'm really excited because this is something that you and I have talked about before. We've talked about autism before, and so we're going to get a little bit more information about that and the needs of our community, and hopefully a place that will be able to address those needs. So we're really excited, and our guest, and I'm just going to tell her age. I'm going to tell her. I might not tell mine, I'm going to tell her.
You're going to tell hers, okay. Right.
She is 25.
What?
She is 25 years old.
She does not look
No, she does not. No, she does not. But the enormity of what she's doing, that's what makes it even more special. As someone who is only 25. So can you imagine? We just lost Representative John Lewis, and he was in the movement from 18 years old, and he made that famous speech at the March on Washington. He was the youngest speaker. I think he was 23 at the time. So look at what we have sitting next to us. So I'm just so excited to be able to introduce Ms. Jaunesia Davis.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. So what I would like to do, Natalie, if you don't mind, is I would like to have Ms. Davis introduce herself to us and to the listeners, and then also to tell us about her nonprofit, give us the name of it and more information, and then tell us why you thought about starting something like this. So go ahead, Ms. Davis.
Okay, thank you. First, I want to say thank you guys for having me. My name is Jaunesia Davis, and I am the founder of We Are the Village. I've started We Are the Village because my son was diagnosed with autism when he was, 3 years ago. And before he got diagnosed with autism, he was diagnosed with different things. And when we got to the point of autism, my son had already had therapy. He had a he had a bunch of therapy. I gave him a lot of therapy, and that diagnosis, it didn't sit right with me. Like it kind of made me feel like I had to do more for my son. I didn't want him to become dependent because I didn't really know much about autism. We know a lot about all of the other disabilities that people have, but autism is kind of a confusing diagnosis. So when I put my son in school, Bethune was a great school. Bethune is a school for children with special needs. If you have a child with special needs, I really recommend that you send your child to Bethune at 3 years old. The therapy that they gave my son was the most effective. When I put him into regular schools, what I got from Bethune, we don't have that in the regular school system. So the therapies and the options that I had at Bethune, my son had a one-on-one. My son had somebody to work with him one-on-one. But because we don't have the money, I feel like that my son was regressing. He was regressing when he went to elementary school. And one thing, I was so happy with what we had got, to the point we had got, because he was walking. They told me he wasn't going to walk. He was talking. They told me he wasn't going to talk. My son was potty trained at 3 years old. He's on the spectrum of autism. He couldn't even tell you what a table was. But I found out how my son liked to learn, and I started teaching him that way.
God is good.
Yes,
God
ma'am.
is good.
Yes,
And so we're just going to take that and we're going to delve a little bit deeper into that, because what I sense in you is this determination. You figured out what you needed to do to assist your son in becoming the best person that he could be with his diagnosis. And that really, when parents are involved in the care and the education of their child, that's where you see the blossoming of that child. And parents really don't understand, some parents, not all, how important that they have a place in the education of their child. And it may not be directly being the teacher, so to speak, but then recognizing and understanding what environment it takes for your child to be able to learn in. And that's what I'm hearing from you right now. So you're giving inspiration to other parents who might be in school districts that don't necessarily have all the resources, but it looks like you went out, you figured out what you needed to do to help your son become his best. Yes. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Yes. I see you glow, and you just glow when you talk about your son and you guys' journey with his diagnosis. So please go on.
Yes, ma'am. Because I'm so happy because my son is only 6 years old, and I'm like, okay, he's 6 years old and he's almost off of the spectrum. Like, it's no cure for autism, but he almost is not giving me any traits of autism. Why I named my company We Are the Village? Because my family helped me tremendously, and I want to piggyback off of what you said, because just me doing it by myself, it wasn't working. When I did it with me, Bethune, and daycare, it didn't work because me and Bethune was on the same page, but the daycare, they weren't on the same page as us. So when I did me, Bethune, and my family, it was successful. Like, any little thing could make your child regress. If you have everybody around you on the same page, like, it's very important for your child to know that they have everybody around them on the same pages, and we all not force them, but we all put him in this direction. And with my family, we made my son become successful. Like, what I had to really get down. I had to lock down on my family, because they were like, oh no, he has a disability, we can't do this, we can't do that. And I'm like, hey, if y'all want my son to become successful, if y'all want him to become independent, I don't want him to be dependent on anyone. Like, I don't want him to be dependent. If I leave, I want my son to be able to take care of himself. I need everybody around me. And that's what my family did. They all came around me, and they all followed the same plan that I followed, as well as the school followed the same plan that I followed, and everyone else. So that's why I named my company We Are the Village. And when I sent my son to a school that he attends now, and it's not in Gary, this school provided therapy for my other children. Like, I have 2 other boys that don't have any disabilities. And when I tell you that they took my 2 children and they asked them, because I don't think that I really paid attention. I paid attention to all my kids, but I didn't really pay attention to how my other children felt about my son being autistic and having a autistic, brother. And they took my kids, and my kids talked, and I heard them, and I listened, and it's like, this stuff works for our family. Like, they helped me explain to my children how to understand their brother. When I went out in public, I was a little embarrassed. I know you get embarrassed, parents. You don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to be embarrassed. I learned how to explain to my son, if he has a meltdown when we're in public, we stop everything. And I explained to him what's going on. Like, I don't care who's watching. My son called me daddy. When he first started talking, he called me daddy for a year straight. It's a little embarrassing. He's running up saying, daddy, daddy. But I'm answering because he didn't say anything before now. So it's like, mothers and fathers, parents, families, what I really want you to understand is your child needs you. You don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to step back. You don't have to accept what a doctor diagnosed your child with. You don't have to do that. Like, you figure your child out. Figure your child out. Be there for your child the way your child needs you to be there for them, and they will become successful.
So I really, really want people to hear this, especially African Americans and people of color, because, and we all know this, we've had in the past diagnosis of, mental retardation or maybe some other disability, and those family members pretty much were sheltered, placed in the home. Sometimes they would not send them to school, especially in the Deep South, because like you said, sometimes it is an embarrassment, and pretty much the only place that they would be seen out in public was at church. And what I'm so excited about what you're saying is that you're giving people hope, and you're educating people that you have to bring your child up to the level of their ability, and you will be surprised that sometimes they overachieve even what you thought that they were going to be able to do. And it is so good that you did not stop your child from calling you daddy, because like you said, he had not spoken before. So if that was the word, then that's what you were going to be until he learned how to say mama.
Yes, ma'am.
So there is nothing wrong with that. Imagine if you had chastised him.
Exactly. I ain't your daddy. I ain't your daddy.
Yeah. Then he might have stopped speaking again. So, I mean, I'm just so proud of you. And you did this, and you were able to get your entire family engaged. And you know that's hard. With, I'm get a little personal here. I wanted to, breastfeed. And some of my family members, as soon as I would doze off, I wake up and my baby had a bottle in their mouth. They need to eat. So for you to be able to engage your entire family and get them on the same page, this is the program, family. This is what we're doing. And we all have to be in lockstep. Girl, you are the bomb.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, family. I love y'all. Yes.
Yes, so you owe your family a shout out. Definitely, because like you said, it takes a village. It really takes a village, especially when we have children that need that extra, love and care and touch. So this is a wonderful thing. So tell us a little bit more, because I believe that there's more in there for you to tell us.
So my goal is to bring the first ABA clinic to Gary, Indiana. We don't have an ABA clinic. My goal is to bring the first ABA clinic here because I want to push therapy. I want to push therapy on our students. I want to push counseling, mental therapy, developmental therapy, occupational therapy. I want to push therapy onto our students because it works. It is successful.
So I want you to slow down a little bit and tell us what ABA is.
Okay. ABA is applied behavior therapy. So with ABA, right now my son attends an ABA clinic, and he has a teacher and he has a one-on-one. His ABA therapist has learned my son's style of learning. She's learned what my son likes and what he doesn't like, and how he likes it and how he doesn't like it, and she enforces this to my child. Like she enforces it. So with the ABA therapy, it has helped because you find the unique challenge that your child has, and a person works with them to overcome that challenge. And the clinic only has 23 kids that attend. 23 kids, you have every type of therapy that your child would need. And I want to, like trade winds, how we had trade winds. I want to bring trade winds back. I want to have a clinic where children, teachers, parents, everyone can come to and have their children receive therapy and not have to worry about anything, like not have to worry about if your child is getting taken care of the right way, or not have to worry about is your child learning the right way, because that's the biggest issue with me. Is my child learning? Is he learning? That's the only thing that really matters. Like, can he learn? Can he learn how to do stuff on his own? And with his ABA therapy, she pays close attention to him, close attention to everything that he does, and that's how he becomes a successful learner.
So I'm in total agreement that this is something that is definitely in dire need in our community. And we have so many children in our community that have been traumatized. Some are in poverty, and that in and of itself, people don't understand the connections that social determinants of health have. It's not just about making sure that a child is able to go to school or has food to eat. There are so many other things that happen to children outside of school, and they really don't have a resource or someone to help them get through or talk them through what's going on with them. And I believe that something like your nonprofit partnered with a school district would be the type of partnership that would help the district overcome some of the challenges that they have with getting students just to focus on learning. You can't really focus on learning if you don't know, if you go back home, if your furniture is going to be out on the lawn because bills haven't been paid and maybe that information wasn't shared with you. Your computer is not working because the electricity is turned off and the battery has run down. So there are so many things. Maybe a child is coming to school and the water has been turned off at home and they're not able to bathe properly. So there are so many things that traumatize our children before they even get to class. And so sometimes they take those frustrations out and they're not able to, they take those frustrations out at school and they're not able to adequately place themselves in the classroom and be able to imbibe and take in what is being taught for the day. So a program, a nonprofit like yours, definitely is something that I believe is needed in this community. So come on, because there's more in there I want you to share with us.
I even have a special program for my parents because I know y'all like me. My program will be, so parents, everything will be on me. You don't have to worry about spending any money. But it'll be a session where we talk about what we have alike, where we talk about our children with disabilities, and I tell you, how I did it my way. You tell me how you did it your way. Maybe your way is more successful than me. But I know a lot of parents don't be around parents that have children with disabilities. So I'm going to implement a program where we all come together. All of the parents that got a child with a disability, we all come together and we talk about what's going on in our household so we can help each other get through it. Like I'm going to give resources to the parents if they don't have the resources, because a lot of stuff that was out here I didn't know about. And now that I do, and I know that the people my age, they're not really paying attention to what's going on, so I can give you the resources that you need for your child, and we can have a conversation on how you feel, because we don't pay attention to how the parents feel. How you feel? How's it going in your house? And I feel like that will be successful for the parents, so they can be able to start talking more. We can talk and we can figure it out, because in African Americans, they are 2 times as higher to get autism than any other race. Like, so if I can talk to you and tell you what I did and that can help you, or if you can talk to me and tell me what you got going wrong and I can tell you something that can solve that solution, then we have a class for you.
I think that, and as a medical professional, one of the things that I believe, because people have asked me this in the past, why is autism so prominent now? I will tell you that a couple of things come to mind. First of all, most people who were autistic back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s were diagnosed as mentally retarded. That was it. They were written off. So there was no on the spectrum, there was no diagnosis of autism. Then you get into race, okay? And the majority of doctors at that time did not look like us. And I'm just going to be real with it. So those children were given that diagnosis and written off. That's just how it is. I think that as time has gone on, more emphasis and focus has come to the forefront about autism and being on the spectrum, and seeing so many people who have prominent positions who are on the spectrum, which means that these children can be educated and that they can go on to lead successful lives. There are several actors on television that are on the spectrum. We've had children who have Down syndrome who have been very successful in their lives. And so we just need to take the diagnosis, listen, but don't take that as a death sentence and think that my child will not be successful. I'll have to stay at home with my child. There'll be no one that can help me with my child. My child won't, be able to talk. My child won't be able to learn how to drive or do anything. And those are all those misnomers and information that's really disinformation about people on the spectrum and people who have autism. Almost similar to what they did to children with Down syndrome, until we realized that if we do put them in school and if we find out where their learning curve is and we address it in that manner, they're able to learn things. Some of them, as far as math is concerned, they could just put us, put us to shame any day, especially math, physics, and those higher order thinking. So they're not mentally challenged. Exactly. They're very smart. We just have to find out what they are more accomplished in. Some autistic children love music and they like to play instruments. Some of them have never had a lesson in their life. They hear it, they like it, and they play it.
Exactly.
And so we need to start to figure out what it takes to help our children that have special needs to find out what their talent is, what subject in school that they like, and then encourage them and show them the way to grow and develop in that talent or that field of education that they like.
Yes, ma'am. I also want to piggyback on that because my son is obsessed with cars. He's obsessed with cars. So he knows, he can tell you every part about a car, I promise. Every part, the wheels, the engine, he can tell you every part about a car. So what I did was I started giving him color cars. This is a red car. This is a blue car. Okay. This is 2 cars. This is 3 cars. And that's how we started. That's how I started implementing education into what he had, into his diagnosis. And that really worked. And also, I know a lot of parents don't like YouTube, but YouTube, Coco Mellon, he didn't understand the family setting and he had to see it. So Coco Mellon showed him, hey, this is a mom, this is a dad, this is brothers, sisters, this is how you act with your brothers and sisters, this is what you do. And that literally helped us. Him seeing the family, seeing how the family is and seeing how the household is ran, rather than just us telling him, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. But showing him, it worked. It really worked.
That is a wonderful story. And what I really liked is about the cars and how you realized that he liked cars and that, hey, this is a way to teach him. And have you ever heard of Montessori?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you didn't even know that you were doing Montessori school. That's what they do, is learn by play. So they figure out which toys, but they're not really toys, they're your job. My children went to Montessori before they started elementary school. So it's learn by play. So it might be the dollhouse, it might be the racetrack and the cars, or a little pup tent, whatnot. That was their job for the day or for the morning or however it went. But they learned through play and they didn't even realize that they were learning. So you did Montessori and didn't even know you were doing Montessori.
I gotta look that up. Put that on my resume.
So how can we find you online?
Okay, you can follow me at We Are The Village INC, or you can follow my personal page, Jaunesia Davis. Jaunesia. You can email us at wearethevillageinc@gmail.com. And you can also call me at 219-512-0175.
So let's talk a little bit about the resources that you described to help your son. Why don't you list a few of them so some of our listeners will be able to write those resources down and be able to help their family members?
All right, so right now my son is currently attending Innovations in Learning. It's a school of autism. Only children with autism go to the school. Well, they have other developmental disabilities, but they focus on children with autism. If your son or your child has already been diagnosed, then you can also get a medical waiver, and you can get special services that can come to your house, come to your home, and help you in your home while you're at home, because sometimes we need a little break. We need to focus on, like, I know when I'm at home I have to focus on my other job, and I know I gotta pay attention to my son, but Medicaid provided me with a person that can sit there for a couple of hours so I can get this little amount of work done. We have First Steps in Gary, Indiana, and we also have I forget the name, but I know we definitely have First Steps, and First Steps has given my son therapy since he was 3 months old. Developmental, occupational, all of the above. They gave my son therapy since he was 3 months old.
That is wonderful. So I heard that you're going to do a fundraiser because you want to build it. So come on, tell us a little bit about this fundraiser and when it's going to be and things like that.
Our fundraiser will be held on August 15th at Ironwood Park. My fundraiser, I have a bunch of, this is my favorite part about my fundraiser, I have a bunch of baby bosses. So a bunch of little people who got a job, they have a business, I'm sorry, y'all business owners. A bunch of business owners that are under the age of 5 years old will be vendors, and I'm just trying to raise money to purchase my building so I can bring the first ABA clinic here to Gary. We'll have a 5-on-5 basketball tournament for our little children, and it'll be an award for them. It's going to be free food and of course a backpack giveaway. We don't know if we're going back to school or e-learning, so it's a back to school / e-learning fundraiser.
That is wonderful. And where is it going to be again?
It's going to be at Ironwood Park on August 15th.
Ironwood Park on August 15th. Do you have a time frame?
From 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. because I'm offering free hairstyles and free haircuts too for the children.
Oh, okay. Oh, you can come and get your hair done.
Yes,
get your hair cut. Get a haircut. This is going to be a wonderful thing. So Ironwood Park, August 15th from 10 until 4 p.m. It has been, Natalie, you just been sitting over there so quiet, but I see the interest on your face, and I know autism is something that you and I have talked about in the past, so I want to bring you into the conversation.
She has a phenomenal story, and I was really, really enjoying listening to her story. She's got me so excited. When, and it's like, and there were some great questions, but I'm thinking as we go into the e-learning setting with children, I wanted to ask you, because those are the children that I worry about, the children with developmental delays, and what's going to happen to them when they go back into the school setting and how they're going to handle that. Is it even right to even put them back into an e-learning setting as opposed to actually putting them in a classroom?
So I don't know if you realize that some of what Ms. Davis talked about with her son, even though he didn't realize it, was e-learning with the YouTube. Okay, so there will be some space, some room for e-learning with certain children who have special needs and disabilities. And I'm not saying that it will be easy and that there won't be some challenges, but the uniqueness of each child will determine what their best format of learning is.
Well, I like what Johnny did because there were a lot of things that she talked about that will assist you in terms of if you get overwhelmed and how the group sessions that you can actually discuss. And the one thing about it is, as you pointed out, is as Black people, we're ashamed to admit. I know about the people being locked up in the house and you don't come out or you don't even talk about it. And then when they get older, it's, you know, Uncle this is that, and they keep him in a room. But it is time that we open up because these are people with real feelings and they have the ability to learn and to function. I even saw a wedding where 2 autistic people got married, okay? And it was phenomenal. But their family was, and one thing she said is family is very important. And you know this because everybody does have to be on the same page, because I find myself, even mine are okay, and it's like, I'll let them run and let them play. No, they got to sit down. Well, I don't agree with that. So you do have to be on the same page, even when it comes to discipline. You know? So that's a great thing. So the other thing is, are there any triggers that you can recognize early on? Say, for instance, she talked about her baby from 3 months, but sometimes we go beyond that and we don't do anything. Is there testing or anything that you should do?
So one of the things, it's really all about observation, and you have to be an advocate. So I'm gonna back up a little bit, because when you have young mothers or new mothers, sometimes they may not recognize, because they've never had a child before, that there is something different, that there is something that may be out of line, so to speak. So that's where we need to really just get the word out to parents and potential parents, so that they're able to recognize the signs and symptoms. And what you really have typically are a mom or parents that have had one child, no learning disabilities, and then they have a second child, and they notice that those developmental things at 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, their child really isn't doing, and they're kind of delayed. And this is when you have to really be an advocate for your child, because sometimes you'll go to the pediatrician, and because you're seeing your child every day, and they may only see the child once a month during the first couple of years of their life to get the vaccines and things like that, you really have to express that you believe there's something going on. And you have to do it early. It's just like discovering breast cancer or any type of cancer. The earlier you discover it, that's where your best treatment outcomes are, and the earlier interventions that you can make with the therapies and things, beginning when the child is in infancy. But unfortunately, sometimes that just doesn't happen. So the diagnosis is in later stages, and then it's more difficult to put that child on a learning regimen than it would have been if it had been discovered in infancy.
Interesting that you should say that, because Hestina Monroe is a young lady who was over at the GNS building, and that's what she gave me, this whole Bible. And you talked about how difficult it is, but there are a lot of things that the state and the educational system is supposed to do for children in developmental delay. So I'm going to make sure you connect with her, because she has a world of information when it comes to the laws and the rules about so your child doesn't get left behind. And it's always good at sharing knowledge, and that's why it would be awesome if you brought a center to this area to add to that wheel that Dr. Seabrook is always talking about, so we can get the ball rolling to help families out.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. And I also want to add on to what Dr. Seabrook said, because when my son was 3 months, what got me, I have my oldest son, he's 10 years old. He'll be 10 years old this year. And then I had Deer, who was 6. So that's what I noticed, like, okay, it's different. You know, if I didn't have Dion at first, I probably wouldn't have noticed that anything was wrong with my son. But I noticed it because of I had already had a previous child. So for the mothers, the first time mothers or the new mothers, if you feel like anything is wrong with your child, it's not, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid of a diagnosis, because the diagnosis is just that, a diagnosis. Don't be afraid. That's why I wanted to bring We Are the Village, because you're going to have a whole community that's going to have your back with whatever your child got. And I also have a GoFundMe for my building. And you can find my GoFundMe on my Facebook page at We Are the Village INC.
This is going to be an asset to the community. This is only going to help our school district and our students that are in need. We know our district is overwhelmed and overburdened with students with special needs that through no fault of the school district or the students. Yes. Okay, this is not finger pointing. This is an additional resource that can help us bring our children up to their level, to the level of their learning ability. That's all it is.
And you know, Dr. Seabrook, she makes a good argument because of the fact that if we don't start our children out early, you miss a lot of things, and they miss a lot of things as well. So with her starting early, and that's the fight here. That start the children in early learning and not wait until they're 4 or 5, because you've missed things already that puts them behind.
Yes, ma'am.
Your pathways and synapses, your brain tissue, everything is when you're an infant. that's when it's time to help those synaptic firings to make sure that your child that brain is being energized and actively, activated all the time, and not something that was done, and we talked about this before, is we place those children by themselves. We let them rock in rooms by themselves. We lock them in rooms. We wouldn't even let them come to the dinner table. We would take the snack tray in there and put the food there. No social interaction, no one talking to them. So of course, you're going to be stunted. Your ability to have social skills, to be educated, all of that is stunted when children and adults are not socialized into the family unit and into the community. And so the brain is in the early stages of development. That is the best time to introduce education and learning to a child. You can never go wrong by introducing reading to a 1-month-old. People used to think, what are you doing? And that's what I did. 1 month all the way through. And my children were both early readers, because I had been reading to them, and they got to the point where, give me the book. I want to read myself. I can read this story myself. Sometimes it's just memorization. They're pointing at the words and just repeating what you said. But that's still learning. And I think that the more we get people to understand that children of any diagnosis can learn, we just have to open that door for them and give them the ability to be able to express themselves in the manner that they can express themselves. So thank you. And I'm so excited for you. But not only that, I'm excited for our community, because we have someone who you're really self-taught.
I am, thank you.
You're self-taught, and I'm looking for some bootstraps. You pulled yourself up by some bootstraps, but it's summertime, so you don't have boots on.
And the one thing that you talked about, she is self-taught. But a lot of mothers, as you mentioned, people have a lot of stress, a lot of things, and particularly with the pandemic, in terms of things that are going on, where they're not paying attention to their families, and where they're not even paying attention to themselves. So for her to do what she did in terms of really paying careful attention and not comparing them, in terms of the other children and others, she noticed what her own child was doing, and no one had to tell her that.
Correct. So you're going to slow down. We're going to slow it down, and you're going to tell us again about Ironwood Park and all of that good stuff. So go ahead, slow down and tell us.
Okay. I'm having a back-to-school / e-learning fundraiser on August 15th, and it's going to be held at Ironwood Park. We have a lot of baby bosses, so make sure you come through and stop by and shop with our baby bosses. You can follow my Facebook page at We Are The Village INC, and you can also go to my website, at www.wearethevillageinc.com. Thank you, and you can call me at 219-512-0175. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're going to be blessed, because you're a blessing. You're a blessing to the community, so you're going to be blessed. Miss Natalie, you have anything else for us?
No, I've enjoyed this. It was like a good thing the camera wasn't on me, because I'm a little teary, a little emotional as I'm listening to all of this, because it touches your heart to see someone that's doing something and that they want to reach out and help someone. And that's why community help, your help does matter, because that's a healing right there, a real healing.
Well, thank you so much. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this afternoon, the dynamic duo will be at it again on the LRP network.
Okay.
So tonight on Facebook, 6 p.m.
LRPlive.tv.
LRPlive.tv. Thank God, James, you showed up. Thank you. Where would this show be at?
When I say he comes in and fix it, he fixed it.
Exactly. So tell it to me one more time.
LRPlive.tv at 6 o'clock. Your Health Matters with Dr. Janet.
Now I'm not going to say all
right.
that.
They heard you.
You took it too far.
Yeah,
I'm doing my radio thing right
that
now.
went too long.
LRP live.tv at 6 p.m.
So again, you'll get to hear a little bit more from us this evening at 6 p.m. So tune in to LRP Live TV.
.tv.
.tv. Okay, I got it.
And don't forget about the walk. You can come to the walk.
Oh yeah, let's talk a little bit about the breast cancer walk. So we're doing virtual. We're doing a virtual walk. And we're going to do an in-person walk, and we'll be social distancing, and we'll have our masks. It's the last Saturday in September, September 26th. We start at the same time. We start at 9, where we do our warm-ups, and we have our pre-program celebration, and then we start the walk at 10 o'clock. So I'm so excited. We'll be able to, if you want to do it virtually, you can log on our Facebook page at that time, and we'll be walking the route. And you can walk with us either in your neighborhood or your community or on your treadmill, whatever it takes.
Around the world.
$25 either in person or virtual. And you can go online to our website, CHN Indiana.
CHN dash.
CHN-Indiana.org. That's a hyphen, y'all. CHN-Indiana.org. For more information on our website and the breast cancer walk. September 26, 2020, Marquette Park, in person or virtually, in your home or in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I understand. We're gonna get some masks too.
Yes.
Pink, we got pink ones.
Yes, we have pink
pink
masks, and so we're gonna be, instead of t-shirts this year, we're gonna do masks. So pink masks with the Community Health Net logo on it.
So are we gonna do that thing, James? We got to do that thing where
best
the
dress.
best costume wins. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna do that one?
Just tap it in this year.
Okay, I gotta
Yes.
get the girls and I gotta get together.
All right. Gotcha.
Are we still looking for vendors?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
still looking for vendors. So reach out to us, and all the information is on the website, chn-indiana.org. Numbers are there where you can give us a call, and we'll tell you what you need to do to become a vendor at the health center. I'm just thinking, we can do virtual too. Best dressed, they'll be able to send us their pictures.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Absolutely.
we can do
But
it
they don't
both
count.
ways.
That's two different.
Yeah.
Two different awards. Two different awards.
So we'll do best dressed virtually and best
Right.
dressed in person.
All right. We'll do
All
that.
right.
Second decision just made.
Easy. She's the boss.
Easy. All right. Well, thank you so much, Natalie. We really appreciate the time and you allowing us to utilize your platform so we can talk to people about the resources that are available in the community. And last of all, I'll mention Community Health Net Health Centers with 6 locations to serve your needs. 219-880-1190. We're ready for people to come back to the office. We do have telehealth visits, but we're ready for some face-to-face. We have all the things in place for safe, healthy visits. So come and see us.
I want to say this too before you actually go. Are you taking new patients?
We are.
You're taking new patients. The thing that I received a phone call because everyone knows, and I'm not ashamed to say it, that Community Health Net is my center. But now they have a doctor, an eye doctor, who does the diabetes check on your eyes. And I didn't know that. I really didn't. And they called me up and it was like, I was so excited to go. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to keep up with my eyesight because I'm having some problems and some issues. But yeah, so just to let people know, if you're diabetic and you need someone to keep track in terms of your eyes or you haven't had them checked, call Community Health Net.
880-1190.
Okay.
So you gave a plug to a new service that we have, optometry, and we've been providing optometry for a little under a year right now with Dr. Kamyati. And so what we did to help keep her busy after COVID, and the American Academy of Optometry said that it was okay to start back doing eye visits, we just printed out a list of all of our diabetic patients.
Oh, that's
And her
fine.
staff has been calling them to get them in.
Any questions?
No, we're good. We're good.
And so soon and very shortly, looking at October, we'll start dental services.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're excited. We're in talks with a dentist right now. So we'll have a dentist, dental hygienist, dental assistant, dental receptionist. So if any one of you all have those special abilities, dental hygienist, dental assistant, give us a call, 219-880-1190.
All right. And we want to thank everyone for tuning in to Community Health Net, Your Health Matters, and Dr. Seabrook and our guests. We really appreciate you being here today. Such a moving show, and we really want to thank you and thank the in-house production staff. I really have to say that, and I'll fix it over here. So So we'll see you next month, and we'll continue to remind you of the things that are going on. But stop by Community Health Net, because your health does matter.
Thank you, Natalie.
Bye-bye.
Good job, lady. Excellent job.
Good.